You're listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. Now, the largest new media platform on the web and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Keith Johnson.
From the AfterBuzz Studios in Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and Bing.com, and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies, this is AfterBuzz TV's Real Housewives of New Jersey After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AfterBuzz TV's Real Housewives of New Jersey After Show.
Loud. Everybody tweet, tweet, tweet.
We're tweeting away.
I can't multi-tweet.
No?
I'm too slow with that. I just
Gotta get better at that.
All right.
Wow.
Okay.
Yay.
Doing is for doing, and we're here doing.
Yeah, we are.
All right. Hey, guys, if you're tuning in right now, this is the AfterBuzz recap show for the Real Housewives of New Jersey, your favorite wives from the Garden State. We have a full panel tonight. I know that makes everyone excited, so you have lots of different opinions going around. And we also have someone special kind of behind the scenes. She's recording us, and she's going behind the scenes of AfterBuzz, and her name is Francesca Ramirez, and she has a very cool blog. It's called Love Fashion Couture, and we want to thank her for being here with us today. You can't see her, but she's here. She's here. She's here. All right, so let's just go around the room. Let's everybody introduce ourselves so we can get rolling on this recap. So I'll start across the table.
What's up, guys? I am Lauren Leonelli. Happy to be here. Excited to talk about the hair tonight.
Yeah.
All right.
Jersey hair.
And for all of you guys, if you're just listening, Lauren has on this really great lipstick color. I
do.
love it. It's fantastic. Okay.
Well, I don't have any makeup on, but I'm here.
Yay.
All natural.
Yeah, my name is Grant. Hello, everyone. Happy to be here, too.
Hey guys, I'm your host, Erika Garcia Rojas.
Where can they find you, Erika?
You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at IamEGR. Tweet me.
And I'm Diona Vaughan, and you guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram at It's Me, Diona V. All right, so let's dig in, you guys. First up, you know, we knew this episode was going to be all about cheating, or the accusations of cheating.
That's right.
So we see, you know, in the very beginning, it looks like Teresa and Melissa, like, you know, they're spending some family time together. They're hanging out together, and from what it seems, it looks like all the beef is gone. Well, we find out a little later it's not. But what do you guys think? Well, first of all, Melissa shares her book cover, you know, that hasn't come out yet with Teresa, and already we're getting started with like an underhanded, you know, kind of opinion that Teresa has. What do you think about that? Do you think Teresa still like harbors a lot of hatred or whatever, discontent towards Melissa?
For sure. I think they both do. And that conversation that they were having there about the book cover, and then of course you have their conversation in front of each other, and then you have their separate individual confessionals about what they really think.
Exactly.
And that might even be a little bit like sugar-coated. But they're definitely, I mean, Teresa's like, where's my brother? Why isn't he on the cover? And then Melissa's like, you know, then she confronts her and says, so am I a cheater? And Teresa's like, no, not very convincing.
Going back to the cover, though, I wonder how long it takes Teresa to find a problem with something Melissa did. Like, because like this is probably something she thought about, had enough time. We don't know how like the running time between with the cuts and edits, but I wonder how long it takes her. Like how long she thinks about it. If it comes to her in the middle of the night, or she can just look at it and find something to call it out. Like, I just don't know what it is.
I think with Teresa, it's like she can't ever like fully be really happy for almost like anyone.
Why do you think that is?
Just Melissa.
What do you think it is? Do you think it's jealousy? I think it's jealousy.
I think it's always, I don't know if it's jealousy so much. Maybe it stems from a root jealousy of just
younger, prettier.
Maybe or just the fact that Teresa always has to be the best and the center of attention.
Right. I think you have a point to that.
So, like, anytime anyone deflects from that, it's like she's trying to to find a way to bring it down a little bit. And
I agree with that.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's necessarily jealousy. I also think that no one can be good enough for her brother.
See, this
That's
is what
what I
I
think.
want to say. I need to interject for a second. I get this weird, like, I like my brother, but, like, I'm not, like, obsessed with my brother. Like, she...
Well, because you're normal.
Don't you think it's a little weird how obsessive she wants to
I
be,
agree.
like, the number one woman in his life? It's, like, almost like a little
See, I
Oedipus-y.
just-
It's
It
weird.
is.
I
just
didn't mean
think
to
it
sound it. Oedipus-esque is maybe a better way.
I just think it comes across that way because it's all her content is about her relationship with her brother. I mean, there's not much else there. Little things like Melania hair care, but like, I mean, like her main storyline for these last 2 seasons have just been about her relationship with her brother and her sister-in-law. So that's all we see.
And well, I think part of it is that I think of course, she loves her brother, and like having, a little too much maybe. But I mean, I have siblings. I don't have brothers. I have sisters. But you care about your siblings so much that you want whoever they end up with to be like just the best.
Right.
And I think from the get-go, she didn't like Melissa for certain reasons. And I think maybe if it was a different woman, I think it might be Melissa specifically that she might have a problem with. And over time, she's had to grow to love her and care about her or tolerate her because she is married to her brother. They have kids together. But I think from the get-go, probably she wouldn't have been her first choice for her brother.
So do you think that it's, and I agree with that, but do you think that it's a Teresa having an issue with Melissa, or their valid issues behind who Melissa is as a person that makes Teresa freaked out?
I think it's both.
Yeah, I think so.
Combination of both.
Yeah, I think over the years there have been things about Melissa's character that have come up. Whether they're true or not, or rumors, but I think it's those things that have popped up that, also has caused the strife, how she feels.
Probably.
And when you when you do read there's so much information online and what's true, what's not true, but it does seem to all point to the same thing, that Melissa was definitely a little bit more of a partier. I mean, I guess Joey was too, but probably I can imagine that he brought her around, and maybe the whole family, not just Teresa, was like her,
Well, also, I remember mentioning, they may have brought it up in this season, but definitely in the past seasons, that, like, for example, Teresa was like, oh, look at her and her fake boobs. My family's not going to like that. And then what does Teresa do? Go out and
She
get
goes
fake
and gets a
boobs.
boob job. That's a
I'm
good
not judging
point.
people who do that. I'm just saying there may have been things at first that she was very judgmental on, but then once you really realize it, she's not that much different. Then they're both trying to do the same thing, be the sexy housewife and start businesses.
Italian women are very, very competitive, and I grew up in a very Italian area in Rhode Island.
True.
And I mean, it was really like was mentioned last week, it's a lot of tit for tat stuff, and it's a lot of just like, whatever you can do, I can do bigger and better. Like I had a neighbor that had, like, she bought on all these big fake rocks, and then her other neighbor had to landscape, get the same landscaper and like get all these big rocks in, but no one ever called each other out about it though. But it was just like, oh, my rocks are bigger, thanks.
Well, I mean, and that mentality is what might actually put her in jail, because the whole thing that
absolutely.
everything they're getting in trouble for is the fact that they got loans and all this money way beyond their means.
Exactly.
Well, that's how I view
Because,
Teresa. She's
Because
just
of
really
something
competitive.
It's competitive.
Keeping up with the Joneses.
Right.
Yeah.
Living
she's
in the
just-
best
that's how it
neighborhood,
is.
having the biggest house.
And that comes with the Italian culture. It just does. It comes good and bad things, and being over tan and that. And some of these women really look orange. I'm sorry, I just had to call it out.
And I can only imagine just being on television, being on the show for the past 5 seasons only amplifies that.
Only
Oh.
amplifies it, for sure.
But let's move on. So it looks like Jacqueline is back from her tummy tuck surgery in Los Angeles, and everyone was praising her about, wow, you just got back from surgery. You're a bionic woman. I didn't really get that.
I just want to interject and say I didn't notice a difference in anything. I know that
didn't
this
either.
area was covered, but I didn't
Right.
see nothing looked different. Obviously, you can't see her stomach, but nothing here looked different. I did think, though, it was nice to see, because we're sort of watching Jacqueline get a little superficial here, and it's hard to relate. But it's nice to see her with her son, and him kind of like telling him that he loves her and like excited to see her. That's a nice thing that they're showing, I think. But I want to see some results, people. Take off the cloak.
Yes.
I want to see it.
Wait, what was the point of the scene?
Well, I mean, yeah, she was all covered up. She didn't have her face done. She had her neck done.
Connected chin.
Yeah,
I know.
Connected chin and the tummy tuck. So
Exactly.
hopefully, I'm sure we'll get to see that.
And
big
if
reveal.
they go to Arizona,
I'm not going to hold my breath. I'm not that excited to see it. It's good for her.
Wow.
See here, moving on to the cannoli queen, Miss Kathy. It's funny because I think we're starting to see a true buildup of her frustrations with Rich.
Is it true, though? Because I wrote down here, why do I feel like they are trying to milk this problem between Kathy and Rich?
She doesn't really have much to do.
Well,
I said this
so
before.
you guys, so it's funny because it reminds me of the other. I don't know if you guys watched the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, but they have the exact same thing with the woman Heather and Heather Dubrow and her husband.
Yeah.
Very similar. It was like this weird
Orange County.
the Orange County. Yeah, Real Housewives of Orange County. It was like this weird fight that just seemed fake.
I didn't understand why she was so about that.
Yeah. I mean, it's a different show, but I thought that was a weird fight, and it seems like the same thing here that they're trying to make Kathy relevant, and so they're like, well, you know, Rich sometimes has
domestic
this.
issue.
Doesn't it bother you? Like, let's play that up.
I think I agree. Yeah, I can see a frustration there for sure. He's definitely like, he sees her as a housewife. She's trying to branch out and she can get frustrated. Sure, I just think they're making it a bigger deal. But they're trying to make you feel like they're going to get divorced. Those two are not. You see them like
and that actually came up in the tabloids quite a bit.
And then you
Really?
see them.
It was,
You see the scenes for next season, for next week, and they're crying and making it look like they're having this horrible therapy moment. I mean, I just feel like it's really being
milked.
You know what I mean?
Someone needs to meet a quota of scenes.
Well, you know, it would make sense because when you think about their storyline in terms of everybody else on the show, you know, her and Teresa are cousins and they've had their issues, but I don't know. We don't really. If more than anything, you see Rosie more, you know, and you see the interaction with Rosie, and we like that. But with them, it's a little boring.
Kathy would make Kathy could make a great friend of the Housewives or so, and that's on like every other episode, or you know, she'll meet them up for drinks. I just don't know if we need to have a friend center. That's the only thing. I'm sure she's a lovely woman.
Interesting. All right. Well, I'm sure we'll see how this plays out.
Yeah.
Next up, we got a little boys' night out. Now, this is what I find so funny. So, Chris, Joe, and Rich, they have a boys' night out, but now they're planning the big, you know, we all know every season there's a trip, you know, and so now it's going to revolve around Melissa's birthday.
Right.
Like, what do you think about the guys planning all this stuff?
Well, it's the
Do
producer.
I mean, you have very strong opinions.
Well, I
Grant,
have strong opinions about Melissa's reaction. That when basically like flash forward a little bit farther on, and Melissa just had like an expression of like absolutely not, like because
on the thought of inviting Joe.
No,
and
just
Teresa.
like wanted each couple that Joe brought up. Her face was like. No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No. And then I mean, it was just really like, let's be real.
Why is she that surprised? Or they're all the castmates of the show.
Exactly.
Like, that's
no, but let's be real. This is not for her birthday.
Yeah.
And if it was for her birthday, they would want a couples trip to Arizona, anywhere. I mean, you know.
Well, and also the boys wouldn't be planning it out at a bar. What husband sit around and go, hey guys, let's go get a drink, sit back on some whiskey, and plan my wife's birthday.
So we're at a spa day.
I mean, who does that?
Meditating, spiritual.
Well, it's like they have to like make an excuse. Like they always have these trips on every single Housewives. They have a trip, like, and like they're starting to make it like a reason. Like for the Housewives of Orange County, it was one of the girls' bachelorette, you know, and it's like they're trying to do it like, oh, it's Melissa's birthday when. It's almost like, come on, we're as viewers.
They're playing us for stupid.
Yeah, exactly. It's like we know this is the scheduled trip. Just say what it is.
Exactly.
We're all on a trip.
We are all under this feeling of the fact that this season in particular is feeling really overproduced. So if you guys at home feel the same way, like tweet us, let us know on iTunes. Like if you guys are feeling the same way, because we like this show. We're not bagging it. It's still really interesting, but it's starting to feel like we're watching moments where why would a bunch of dudes sit around and plan their wife's birthday party? Like to me that just feels dumb. Why don't they just
it's getting overly produced.
I feel that way. Let us know if you guys do, because I kind of feel like that's what's happening.
I mean, everyone that's watched this season's probably maybe watched another episode of another season of a different series. There's kind of a formula to these, and they've been on long enough. This is the 5th season.
We get it. We get that it's
like... We know what's coming up.
We know that it's, like, partially staged. You don't have to, like, really make us feel like it's not. Like, just we know. We're suspending our disbelief to a certain extent, but when you start making it seem fake, it's...
All they have to say is, we're finally getting along. Let's go away together.
Exactly.
Done.
Yeah.
And
Up top.
And I have to say, just overall, like, this episode, like, the whole episode was just boring. Like, this episode as a whole
Oh, you
was
said it.
boring.
Yeah.
And it just, nothing happened. Like,
Well,
even at the end, when they had the whole thing, I mean, they gave us all of
That was the best
5
part.
minutes
That
of
was the
it.
best part.
They
The
always
entire,
do
and,
that.
and that I have to say this, just to say it, this episode was a big doozer. Just like,
Well, Melania coming down the staircase is the highlight of the episode.
and boobs. That was the most exciting part of the episode.
Melania and the stuffed shirt.
Yeah.
was the best
Last
part.
week it was Gia and the makeup. This week it's
Melania
Melania.
and
I'm telling
the
you, those
shirt.
kids are out of control.
They are. All right. Yes, I do agree with Eric 100%. This episode was somewhat of a sleeper.
It
you
was.
know, the juice that we wanted, it always hits you at the end.
Of course,
and
they
it's
keep
the
you
last
watching.
5 minutes.
Right.
But I do have an exciting question to ask all of you.
Right.
Okay.
Has anyone here at the table ever texted while having sex?
Dude.
No.
How is that possible?
Okay.
I mean, it could be done technically, I'm sure.
Of course it could be
But
done.
what's he doing?
Don't
Is he
stop.
obviously was aware of it?
Stop. Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
That's right.
I guarantee though she wasn't texting. I guarantee she was tweeting.
Really?
Tweeting something out like completely irrelevant to like what was happening to her at the moment.
God.
Like, oh my God, I can't believe what happened. Like to Teresa's this and that and that. While while she's
like,
having sex, it was the
kind
weirdest
of-
thing.
Kind of surprised and then not surprised at the same time, but that is astonishing to me.
Ugh.
I was just saying too while we're watching it, I get if sometimes you're not really into it and you're like, okay, but to be that blatant, like, hold on, honey.
Well, those two have a lot of
I
sex.
think they like it though.
Well,
I think
but-
it's kind of like I think they like it. Obviously, he wouldn't say it if he didn't think it was
they
kind
think
of
it's,
like
like,
stinky
cute, or,
and
yeah.
weird. Like,
They
oh
s-
yeah, she does everything. She even like she was texting you actually.
These
But why
two-
would he even say that? What man is going to admit
Because
that
he
his
thinks
guy
it's-
friends that his wife is texting while
Because
not
I think they like it. I think they like sharing
Yeah, I
that
mean, they spend a
information.
lot of time horizontal. You got to get a few things done every once in a while.
You're so
You know, I
funny,
mean,
Grant.
really.
That's true.
I mean, it's true.
Talk about multitasking.
Yeah,
Come on.
yeah.
I'm all for taking advantage of some good time. You got to get things done.
I have trouble tweeting right before the show's
Yeah.
coming on because I'm like, I got to concentrate. Imagine having sex in time. I would be very bad at that.
Yeah. No.
Jeez Louise.
I wonder if that's in her book.
But to answer your question,
Texting
no,
while
I have
Okay.
never texted or tweeted while having sex. I'm
All
usually
right.
having sex while I'm having sex. I just throwing that one out there.
Old fashioned. Old fashioned.
I'm old-fashioned.
Yeah.
All right, let's switch gears and talk about our favorite exciting family, the Manzos.
Ugh.
Which, you know, I really, really loved the Manzos, especially the first couple seasons. I think
Yeah.
they had a lot to contribute to the show. Their opinions were strong, especially when it came to Caroline and just all the beef. But now it's just really getting
Old.
it's
Stale?
getting- it's beyond stale.
If they had to resort to a storyline with Lauren,
Yeah,
it's like,
so-
oh.
Lauren's still not happy
Lauren
after
popped
all
up
this
again.
time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
poor Vito is, you know, he's pouring his heart out to her. Do you want to move
I,
in? And
okay, I have some thoughts about this
Yeah.
whole thing. So first of all, I don't get why she's so uninterested in moving forward with this guy.
Right.
Because they've been together for quite a while, and he's very interested in her. He wants to be with her. He wants to marry her, and like she blatantly says to him, like, you know, I'm just not feeling it.
And you're a second priority to my
business.
To my business.
If I were him, honestly, if I was his sister, I would be like, girl, dump that girl.
Good
Like,
thing Teresa's not his sister because
Yeah.
they'd be in trouble. I feel like she psychologically brings up a good point. She met him when she was really young and had nothing going for herself. That's the problem with getting into a relationship when like you're looking to that person to make you feel better. And she somehow in this journey felt better on her own where she lost the weight. Now she has her own business. And so now it's almost like she doesn't need him anymore. But she, in my opinion, went into the relationship for the wrong reasons. Like looking, you gotta go, it's best to find somebody, you know, when that cliched saying like, love yourself first. Like you have to be doing you, being, feeling good about yourself, and then welcoming someone into your life to share that with, not looking to somebody to make that
to validate.
And
her.
now she,
and that's
now
what
she
happened when
exactly.
They met.
And that just goes to show too that she's not really in love with the guy, because
that's what I'm saying.
If she was with him just for the fact that she had nothing else going in her life, and here's some guy, a really nice guy that wants to date her, she's probably like, okay, great. But at this point, if she was truly in love with him,
it wouldn't matter.
It doesn't matter if you've got a business.
Right. There's no excitement in that relationship on her end at all. Just forget it. Just break up. It's not even worth dating.
No. Well, and let's be clear too. She's 24 years old.
She's
young. Really young.
How long
Just
have
go
they been
date
together?
somebody else.
For a long time.
For a long time.
I mean, I feel like she was a teenager when they met.
A long time. So she's, she's outgrowing him. She's a different woman
but
now.
she's not
got her
in
business.
She's not in love with him, because I mean, I met my husband when I was really young.
Yeah.
We dated for a long time before we got married, but that was more logistically for finishing school and stuff like that. I understand the concept of grow. You outgrow somebody.
Right.
Then break up with him.
Exactly.
He's not the right guy.
That's
You're not in love with him. But don't string him along. Don't drag him along and be like, well, I'm not interested, but let's stay together. Because to me, it still goes to show that I think she's still insecure. So that's why she's not necessarily in love with him, but she doesn't want to be on her own.
On her own or alone, or who's she going to find. And I feel like that's a mistake that a lot of people make. They're with somebody for a really long time. They've been with them since whenever they're teenagers, and to break up would be feel almost worse than to stay in the relationship. That's when people get married and then things go bad and you get divorced or somebody cheats. For sure, I feel like they need to go their separate ways.
Caroline won't let those two get together.
Well, it's funny because I actually read Caroline's blog, and she basically was defending her daughter. Of course, it's her daughter, but she said, sometimes Lauren's delivery can be a bit harsh and a bit off, but she predicts, a wedding in the future, and she sees them moving forward.
Well,
so,
dude, Vito's a great catch. I mean, isn't it his family has some kind of meat business?
Yeah, like a butcher or a deli or something.
Is it just a butcher deli? But I think it's like a meat distribution company. I think they do pretty well. I mean, he seems like a nice guy.
And
he's
part of their
family.
Was with her before the surgery. He was with her. He truly cares and loves her
for who she is.
For who she is. It's like if I were her, I'd say.
We only saw a small snippet of their date. We don't really know the whole behind the scenes.
We're just starting to see all that, but I kind of feel like she doesn't seem like.
But she's always never happy.
Just not that into
it. She's just never happy. She's just like a Debbie Downer all the time.
Wah, wah.
Yeah. I agree. Okay, finally, I can't hold back anymore. We have to talk about Melania hair care, and we have to talk about this event. But before we get to the actual event, let's talk about just the whole prep. And what I found to be very interesting and very funny is that Teresa's at home. She's getting her hair and her makeup done. Of course, we see Melania slide down the banister with fake boobs. Okay. And then,
that damn
ding
banister.
dong,
Yeah.
Kim D shows up.
I mean,
how familiar is this situation? Because it was last
season.
She's getting her hair and makeup done, and that's where everything went down. That whole thing with Kim D and what's his name? I want to call him Apollo, but I know that's wrong. I forget his name.
I wrote it.
Tweet us.
His name?
Call us.
Oh, the guy.
I know you guys want us to get everything back. Yes, the bald guy.
Angelo.
Okay. I knew it was something with an A.
Angelo.
So I was like, what an interesting, scenario that it's just so reminiscent of what happened, last season that started all this shit. So what do y'all think about Kim D's motives?
This is I'll talk a little bit about Teresa. This is my issue with just what the approach that Teresa had, because, and I think people didn't like what I said about this last time, but I still believe that, whether or not Teresa was involved or not, and she's saying she's not. It was, I'm not involved. See, did I know you know? Okay, got it. We got it. But the thing is, if your main goal is to make things up and patch things up with your brother and your sister-in-law, then why do you even have Kim D come to your house? Why do you even create an environment or a situation where it could possibly be construed that you might somewhat possibly maybe be involved?
Exactly.
Why not invite Melissa over at a time? Or why not you and Melissa go together? Because obviously for Teresa, her focus right now is to patch things up with her brother. So every way, shape, or form, if that's really what she wants to do, should be geared towards that.
And she even said, that's such a good point, because she even called her before and said, Janet and Penny are going to be there.
And I have no control over who's coming, which is bullshit. She said that to her.
Yeah, she did. She said she has no control, but she also said, I have your back. So
that
would make sense to say, hey, why don't we get ready together and go walk in together?
Yeah.
And also I feel like Kim D is she's so irritating, and all she does is cause drama, and so of course inviting that over is showing that you're not really willing to like completely patch things up.
It's a repeat of last year.
But I also feel like Teresa, you know, she's very much all about like trying to clear her name and whatever. The problem is, and Dr. V pointed this out, if you are like silent when people are talking crap, it's almost just as bad, and you were talking about this too, Erika, as joining in on it or whatever, because especially if you're this person's sister-in-law and people are talking and you're just sitting there silent, letting them say all of these nasty things. Erika made a good point while we were watching and said, I would almost be more mad at Teresa for standing there and letting them talk about me and not stick up for me than the people who are actually talking about me. Which I agree with.
Well, I do think in this particular situation, you know, for Teresa it was kind of a fight between Melissa and the two women.
Janet and Janet.
Yeah, so in this particular situation, I could see why she didn't really have anything to say or contribute, or like it was kind of like the two of them hashing it out.
Right.
So I think, you know, in other situations,
until she started interjecting,
which was so weird,
and trying to clear her name.
Yeah, and watching that with Teresa, you're like, oh.
Joe made a good point. He was like, it makes her look more guilty when she's trying to
she's
make her look innocent.
She looked very guilty.
She interjected, even though she might not be. She might not be guilty.
She might not be.
And
I
that's
agree.
the thing. She might not be. She might be totally not. But of course, with Teresa, it's all about Teresa.
So it
and
looks
it's all
that
about
way.
Me.
Yeah.
Like right, Melissa, right?
And
I didn't know her. I
didn't
know her. It's like, yeah, Teresa, we get it. Like you. But why are you making this all about
you? She was
right
diverting
now?
the conversation too many times for her to be totally clean, squeaky.
And I think she was afraid to walk away, because remember Melissa said, listen, go tend to your guests. You know, I got this. I think she was afraid to leave because she didn't want the conversation to go any further to see what was going to unfold.
Well, I wonder if she was, I don't think personally that Teresa had anything directly to do with that situation. I think that because of her she reacts to things so odd, I think it makes her look guilty.
Yeah.
And I think that her not sticking up for Melissa is a problem, but I don't know that she's actually fabricating stories about her. Yeah. But I feel like in that situation where she's just standing there interjecting all the time, Melissa was trying to get information about what was happening, like who told you these things, and Teresa kept interjecting, so she was a problem in that aspect. And then she just makes things feel really awkward all the time.
Here's what you do. She's got to go and have a conversation with Penny. Penny. She has to have a conversation with Penny away from Teresa. So fine, you have some conversation. Let Teresa think that was it, and then you're all at this event. The night is young. Wait, and then when you see, Teresa's giving a speech or something crazy, I don't know. When she's distracted, go and talk to this chick.
You say Melissa should do that?
That's what Melissa should do. You're not going to get anywhere with her there. If you're there to get certain information, don't leave until you get it, and find a way.
I don't think.
Oh, go ahead.
I don't think Teresa was staying there because she was like afraid of what might be said. I honestly think Teresa was staying there because that's where the action was, and she wanted to be a part of it.
That.
And and like so Teresa, being Teresa and being right in the middle of things and wanting to see, I think she just wanted to see out of curiosity and wanting, of course, to be in the center of everything. I don't think she was trying to control, like, oh, don't say something in case I walk away.
But does anybody feel like she was worried that Penny might say, I heard some of the information from Teresa? I don't think that she did, but I think maybe...
That's why you got to get her alone.
Well, here's what I think.
Saying.
I think in my heart of hearts, I think she might not have a direct link, but I think that Penny heard it from like Kim D or someone that Teresa is connected to.
Yeah.
That's what I think the issue was.
And that's why she
didn't want that
anything.
to come out.
That's why she would, unless she didn't want to be like, and I sold the story to Life and Style. It was either that or it was Teresa.
You gotta get that woman alone. That's the only way
get
you're
her
gonna get
alone.
anything.
Because this Penny woman, Penny doesn't know Melissa from a can of paint. They don't know each other. But so for Penny to be hearing these things, it had to come from some source that's connected to Teresa.
And then what about Janet? What the hell is up with that?
Oh,
or Jan or whatever.
Yeah. Jan was very proud of herself with the camera time she received.
I agree. I think that was all about camera time.
She walked away from there and she took a little drink and she just kind of had this little smirk on her face, like I'm on the show. Yeah. I got my scene, and she really did look. She didn't look good, and she looked stupid.
Even if Teresa did cheat on her husband with Joe.
You mean Melissa?
Melissa. Yeah. Melissa. Why would this girl, who's her friend, if that is all true and she was the alibi and what happened in between that day and this day that made her say, I'm going to tell on her now? Like,
that's the big question. And they haven't revealed that. When you read a lot of the blogs and read what's online, a lot of it has to do with the fact that Melissa, now that she's on the show, kind of distanced herself from all her friends and didn't want to be a part of anybody and was like all better than.
So now they're trying to get her back. They're never really her friends anyway.
I mean, I don't know why, but
Something's weird.
There's something with that. But yeah, she almost seemed, this Jan woman seemed, and what Jan was saying could have been true.
Could have been.
It could have been. I mean, we don't know. It's like, who do you believe? But the way she came at it,
so aggressive.
It was so aggressive
So weird.
in a way of like, ooh, you're too new to the scene. We're still getting used to you as a person. Like, I understand you've got maybe some beef with her, but the way she would approach it was just like,
she knew she had to get on. Like, I
And
mean, that's how you would act if you wanted to be
that's
on
what it
there.
feels like.
Yeah, you're at an event. Like, you if you're gonna sit there and you're gonna say like, oh, I really don't, I heard rumors about you. You're not gonna get any camera time. She doesn't milk it.
She wants to stir the pot.
It was obvious. She was like a reality newbie for sure. Like, it was just like a sore thumb. Like, who is this chick?
She looked like an idiot. And by the way, speaking of looking like an idiot, Penny's hair is so awful. This woman owns a salon. Those are the hottest roots I've ever seen in my life. The worst extensions, horrible style, horrible color. I'm sorry, I don't even, I like hairstyle. I'm not even a hair person, but any Joe off the street, that hair, I am sorry, not to sound petty, but it is really bad.
Not to sound petty, Penny.
Not to sound petty, Penny.
Oh,
and
it was
was
clear that they were. Oh yeah, you could tell.
Brutal.
And here's the thing. This is like Penny giving her 15 minutes of fame, and she like thought about that hairstyle. And that's like the best of the best. And she came out like all excited about it.
Like 1990
prom. It was like winter ball.
Well, it's kind of like those old school hair salons you do see like in towns where they still do hair like that.
It was,
right.
So
I would
it's
very
I think it was kind of Jersey.
I think it was Jersey.
I would never trust a woman with hair like that.
Who owned a salon? Thank you.
Never.
And the gold dress. Oh God.
Brutal.
I like Melissa's. I mean, I like Teresa's dress.
Never seen so many sequins in my life.
There's nothing wrong with too many sequins.
What's interesting though at these events, we don't even know. Like, they didn't even really talk about Melania hair care. We didn't even see a product. We don't know where to buy it.
I don't even believe that there is a product.
It's so it's
there's
such a front.
out there.
Well, let me ask you guys. Let me ask you something. So when Melissa and Jan were getting into it, like, do you think that even though like it was clearly like a back and forth thing with them, do you think Teresa should have stepped up, considering all her pleas of I got your back, I got your back? Do you think she should have said something?
I don't know that there was a way for her to interject, really.
I mean, she said enough.
Yeah, I feel like she definitely shouldn't have interjected so much about herself. Like, see, I'm fine.
Well, that was with Penny. Yeah.
Right, but or with Jan. Yeah, I feel like it would have been hard for her to interject, but she maybe could have a little bit.
There could have been a way, I think, if Teresa truly was there to support Melissa, there could have been things to ask this woman, like, well, why did you say that? And like Melissa was asking the question, and like
Teresa could have.
Yeah, why did you say that? Like, what did you mean by that? Who did you get this information from?
So I remember you saying this to me. What did that
come from?
If Teresa was truly innocent, she would have said, "Wait a minute, no, don't divert the question. Like, well, really though, who asked this question?"
That's what disappointed me, because you sat there and you told her, "Hey, come to this event." You warned her about who might be there. You tell her you've got her back, and you don't do anything.
And I really think it is. I think Teresa might be innocent. I actually do. But I think the problem is Teresa's just she's a selfish, self-absorbed person. So although she has no like malintention for her brother and sister-in-law and doesn't want to like bring him down, but at the same time, it's always about her, and
her self-involved nature makes her look like that's what she's doing. I agree with you,
worse
Erika.
than what she's doing.
I totally agree.
And so that's the problem.
She's screwed.
If she's really selfish and wants to sit there and really figure this situation out, she would have not made it all about her.
That's not in her. That's just not in her makeup.
Yeah, that's all I got. You guys got anything else?
No, but I can't wait to see the conclusion to this next week.
Yes, which I'm sure they'll like string out over.
I wonder if somebody's going to rip out Penny's hair extension like they did on the Atlanta Housewives. Call her Heifer.
I think Penny's done, hopefully.
Penny needs to.
What I wanted to bring
random
up.
characters that all just get brought out in the woodwork.
Speaking of these random characters, we saw a lot of Melissa's sisters in the previous seasons. Not a lot, but they were there.
Yeah.
And now they've really, and you guys mentioned this in a previous podcasts that they were trying to be on the show and that
they don't let them be on there
but
anymore.
they're not on there like at all.
Yeah.
No events. They're not visiting the house. It's just kind of it's obvious that they're really just cutting these people out. Do you think that Melissa needs more people in her camp?
Oh, absolutely.
I do, yeah.
So I mean, why wouldn't they put the sister?
Well, because they're trying to make it a problem.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's going to create more chaos if she doesn't have her sister there to back her up. And at this point, the friend that she thought she had in Jan is no longer and I don't know what happened with that. That's what I would love for that mystery to be unfolded. We don't know what happened.
But I want to see more of a balance. I just want to see her with
By
one
herself.
character against
Then the question could be, well, maybe Melissa doesn't have anyone on her side.
Well,
like,
that's
maybe there's
how
no
they're painting
friends.
it.
Maybe she doesn't. Maybe
that's
who
how they're
knows?
painting it. But that's how it always happens, and especially on. I mean, since we talk about the franchise in general, on the OC Housewives, it's like everyone ganged up against Gretchen. Like that's how it always happens. This is not an accident that she has nobody there to back her up.
Right.
It's a producer storyline and how they want to show because they've really painted Melissa in prior seasons as like the innocent.
And now I feel like not so much.
No, I feel like they're turning it and like we've said this before. The problem is that all of them do and say crappy things.
Of course.
So it's just
who they're going to focus on right now.
Right.
Yeah. Except for Kathy. I don't think Kathy's bad.
Well,
I like Kathy.
They're trying. Next episode, they're trying.
Kathy and Caroline, I feel like their storylines could be put to rest. Yeah. There's just nothing else.
As Grant would suggest, bring Danielle back.
Well, you gotta bring somebody on. I mean, it would be good if they brought her on, there would be space for Danielle. But I think they really need to bring someone that's not connected.
So
that's hard to do with this group.
I know, but the show, like I said last week, could go in a different direction if certain people are going away for a while, and they need to add some fresh. They need to add like somebody new. They need to go in a different direction. If someone's going over here, you gotta go over here.
Well, Grant, that's a perfect segue for.
Well, one thing I wanted to mention.
Okay.
I just thought it was funny how Caroline totally put Jacqueline on blast about like her old plastic surgery.
Oh, that's a good one, Erika.
Yeah. Because I was like, "Whoa, Caroline, thanks." Like
she had a bump on her nose.
She's like, "Wow." It was almost the way Caroline threw it out there. It's like, "Oh well, her look is so different." She even said she used to have this crooked, bumpy nose and a totally different look.
Funny.
I was like, "Dude, Caroline totally put in her own."
We were talking about that we're like, dude, what work has she done? She looks done.
She's always. I feel like she's always.
She didn't get her eyes done, so she's already got that on her mind. That she's gonna get the eyes done. What is she looking to get done on her eyes?
Well, probably an eyelid.
Lift.
Oh, okay. Oh, I'm thinking like actual eyes. I'm like, what do you even do?
No.
Sweetheart.
He's so innocent in the world of plastic surgery. No,
but I do support it though. Like Teresa said, like, wow, I really.
I'm all about it. If you want to do it, do it. But it was funny how Caroline just had to put that out there. I was like, and then of course they throw these like awful pictures of her, like old school pictures.
I don't think she looked that bad.
She didn't, but she looks different. She
does look different. Yeah. But it's all about how she feels about herself.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
All right.
More power to her.
More power to you, Jacqueline. All right, time for some news and gossip.
AfterBuzz TV News.
Okay, so Juicy Joe and Teresa, everybody knows about these, indictments against them. Well, they just recently pled not guilty.
Obviously.
In court. But no, here's the thing. They were going to go for a plea deal. But every single plea deal that they would have had was going to put them in jail. So instead of taking the plea, they pled not guilty.
Which is a big risk.
It's a huge risk. It's a huge risk. Any plea deal like that they would have had, either one or both of them would end up in jail.
And she was also trying to, and we may have touched on this, trying to see if he could do the time for her.
Right.
And the judge already fully dismissed it. It was like, that's not a possibility.
Yep. Shut it down. So it looks like both of them are going to end up going off to prison. And that's
Orange
sad.
is the new black.
Yeah, orange is the new now. And I also saw somewhere that her brother stepped up, to say we are going to take care of the girls. If this happens, I would expect that to happen.
How crazy!
How ironic and crazy.
That at the end of the day, say they do go to jail, that this woman who Teresa can't stand
is going to raise
her girls.
They're all obviously going to end up strippers.
That's a twist.
Yeah, I mean it sounds inevitable to me that jail is in their future. Yeah. The trial starts in October, and it's really going to be interesting.
I think even more. Oh,
go ahead.
I think even more so. In some ways, you think that it might not be fair, but because they are so famous and the reality show and the reality stars, I feel like they're going to get a harsher punishment.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, and I read now that Bravo cameras are going to be at this trial.
Oh God.
Are you serious?
I'm
That's
not
a little
surprised.
I read. I don't know if it's totally true and confirmed, but I read that, and I was kind of like, I'm surprised they went there because it's not going to end well.
I'm not surprised.
It's
just
For
but
Bravo,
it's
that's great
not.
TV.
Oh, it's
I'm not
fantastic.
surprised
It
they went there.
is, but I mean, like
a little
these
much.
are this is like a whole family that's going to be just like ruined.
Destroyed. Well,
Right.
they
You
did it
know?
themselves. They're not in it. I mean, if I say they're not innocent. I mean, I'm not a judge. I don't know, but like, they did this to themselves.
Yeah.
Trial
one
by
forced-
Bravo.
No one forced them to lie about all their
It-
tax
it
returns
doesn't
and
look
all
good.
that.
Yeah.
And on the
It's
flip side, Teresa had an interview with Entertainment Tonight, and I wish we could actually play it, but basically she was saying how she wants to be great examples to her daughters as a businesswoman. So on the one hand, you've got, she just pled not guilty.
Is this before or after the charges?
This is recent. This is all within the past week. This is all recent. Yeah. So.
Well,
Is she just in total denial? Like,
Yeah.
Is she just like not talking about it because it's just not a problem?
There was pictures of her on, to interject for a second. She went to trial and then later that night was at a book signing, like smiling, holding it. It's like, well, she just
making more money for the government.
sweeping it
Make
under
more
the
money
rug.
for the government to take away.
Sweeping under the rug.
Yeah. So it's going to be really interesting to follow all of this, but it doesn't look good for them at all, by all
No, it does
accounts.
not.
We need a legal expert in here to help us break down, what she
Right.
might be in for. All right, are we ready for some predictions?
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
Well, I predict that Kathy and Rich will continue their trumped-up issues in their marriage. Yes. Predictions?
I predict that they're gonna fight and then make up.
No way.
And then fight and then say they want to move past it.
Yeah.
And then say all they want to do is get back together and then fight again. And someone's, talking about stripping or cheating.
I predict that this trip to Arizona is going to be fun because they're trying to play that up. They're trying to make it not as dark as it was previously. However, this trip that these men planned, now Dr. V is going to be included on this fun trip.
She is.
Right?
No, that wasn't
that
Dr.
wasn't
V.
Dr.
No, it
V.
wasn't Dr. V.
Who is that?
It looks like
Just
some
some
type of
therapist.
therapist, but it wasn't Dr.
Oh,
V.
well, still, there's a therapist. Those men were planning this. This is not
Team
the
builder.
favorite trip. That's
I know.
no, that
like on the-
I call.
It's like when you watch The Bachelor, like, oh my God, you planned such a beautiful day.
Yeah.
It's like, that was ABC. That
Right.
I predict that Jacqueline and Teresa are going to have a moment and kind of make up. It showed them hugging. I think Jacqueline's really sensitive about it and kind of weak when it comes to it. And I think she's just going to be like,
She's gonna melt.
forget it. Okay, well, let's
Yeah.
be friends again.
Yeah,
So,
I think she misses their friendship quite a bit. So.
Yeah.
All right. I think we're done.
okay.
We're good.
We're done here.
All right.
Team building in Arizona.
Oh,
Trip.
geez.
Come on.
Well, thanks for watching, guys. You can find me at Lauren Leonelli on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and my website.
And I'm on Twitter and Instagram at Grant Michael R.
Hey guys, you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram. I am EGR, and I'm Erika Garcia Rojas.
And you guys can find me, Diona Vaughan, on Instagram and Twitter at It's Me, Diona V. And thanks for tuning in. We'll have a full set of people here next week. Oh, no, you're not here next
I'm not
week,
gonna
are
be
you?
here,
Okay,
no.
we'll hold
I
down
won't
the
be here
fort
for
you.
two
Find
weeks.
somebody. And thanks
Well,
to Franny Ramirez for coming as well.
Thanks so much for checking us out. And also, make sure you guys download the show. It's on iTunes. It's free, F-R-E-E. Rate us. Keep those comments coming in. Thank you.
See you next week.
Bye.
From Bing.com, executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.